everybody, I'm here with CJ Rosenbaum. He is an expert in getting your account unsuspended. He is a lawyer and has an entire team built out that specifically helps sellers like us get unsuspended. When I got my account suspended about 3 months in, he saved my life. Maybe not literally, but he definitely helped me out so much getting unsuspended. So I'll put a link to that video on how I actually got unsuspended right here. And I've got some questions for him today. First off, could we talk about, so when you get suspended, you've got to write a plan of action to Amazon and tell them, you know, what you're gonna do to fix the problem. Could you talk about what you should do to actually write one of those?
Absolutely. I'm gonna teach everyone, and it's in our book, how to write your own plan of action. You should never, ever buy forms. If you wanna hire us, we do a really great job, but if you wanna do it yourself, this is what you do. You divide your plan of action into 3 sections.
Okay.
Every plan of action, the ones we write, that you write, needs to have 3 sections. One is the root cause of the problem. The root cause really you need to evaluate your business and figure out, why did this problem arise? Years ago, Amazon sellers would almost universally write that they did something wrong or made some mistake, and that is 100% wrong.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't ever admit to doing something wrong unless you did it and you are certain Amazon knows about it, and even then I don't suggest it. Your root cause, you should find out what you think caused the problem. If it was like the way the consumer perceived your product, you need to do something better so that the consumers are educated, so that when they receive the product, they know what they're going to get. If it's a packaging problem or a discoloration problem or a shipping problem, you have to identify it, and when you describe it, you describe it in a way that says, this is how we're going to be better. Our root cause, and we are going to deal with the root cause by making ourselves better, but don't admit you did something wrong. So that's the root cause section.
Okay.
The second section, I'm a little tired today. The second section is, what did you do immediately upon finding out that you had a problem with your product, that a consumer had an issue? Amazon is the most consumer-centric company like on the planet. So what you want to do is to play into what they're already looking for, what their staff has been trained to read. So with any consumer problem, anything, even if it's the most baseless complaint from any consumer, even if you are certain they're ripping you off, okay, give them the product for free. Offer to send them another one. Return their money. You know, you just want to make that consumer happy. You have to give them 3 of them. Okay, make that consumer happy. Let them steal this much from you to protect your account. You know, this much.
And we're talking even when they're legitimately just stealing from you. Okay, and we know that happens once in a while. Okay, where they're just like, they just want a free product.
120%.
It's very rare, but it happens.
It's not that rare. Listen, I believe most people are good. Most people are legitimate, but this happens all the time. Let them get over on you. Let them have their pre-product. Let them have an extra one. Give them back their money, because that's what you need to do for Amazon to see that you're trying to keep their customers happy. And Amazon feels that they own every customer. Okay. Third section. This one's a little bit more difficult to sort of put into words. It's the long-term systemic changes to your business that you're going to incorporate, and you want to incorporate them and write it in the past tense to prevent future problems from happening. How are you long-term going to get better? Maybe it's hiring somebody. Maybe it's hiring somebody to make sure that your products look exactly like the products in the brick and mortar store. Maybe it's comparing the warranties, that what you're delivering actually matches the warranty that's being delivered on a product, or that your pictures are accurate, or that your shipping is great, or that the dates are accurate, that your pricing is fair. These are changes that you have to identify and actually make, and we can all be better business people. So your plan of action should describe how you're going to be a better business person. And then by doing this, by having your root cause, your immediate corrective action, and your long-term changes, that is the outline for every single plan of action. Every single one.
And his book goes over this very well. Very well. In my other video, I actually let you download my plan of action. Again, that is not a form so you can fill out and copy and paste your info. That's so you can understand the 3 parts that he just talked about, so you can see the receipts that I sent in, if that's the kind of complaint you get. You know, what did I write on those receipts? Because my receipts were really awful, okay? It's not a copy and paste, but I want you guys just to get an idea, okay?
And when you submit your invoices or your receipts, you really want to, as you go forward, try and source your products from places where the invoices, the receipts are really specific, as specific as possible. Amazon looks at any way possible to try and shoot those down. to the point where they even want the email addresses. Like the email address, if you're buying something online or it's in the invoice to you, that email address should match your Amazon account.
Really?
And it makes no sense. We all have like, 5 or 10 different email addresses.
Yeah.
But you want the invoice to match your account as closely as possible, to identify the products as specifically as possible with SKUs and UPC codes. Don't black out the prices, because Amazon also uses that to see whether you actually bought the products at a reasonable price. It's like 50% less than other retailers are paying. That kind of indicates it might be a fake product.
Yeah.
So you also want to make sure the invoices show that they're paid.
Yep.
An invoice that hasn't been paid is a purchase order.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all these different little things, the fonts on your invoices should match, right? The fonts don't match, it looks fake. So look at your invoices, look at your receipts for anything that could be construed or argued to poke holes in it.
And when I got my suspension, I was doing a lot of sourcing at a liquidation store in town. I stopped doing that because, again, look at the receipts. It says I bought a lot of video games for $450. That doesn't tell anybody anything.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the liquidators have changed their name because Amazon seems to really not love invoices that say liquidators.
Yeah.
So if you can avoid buying from a place that says liquidator in their name, or you can even ask them, hey, listen, this invoice with liquidator in it isn't really good for me. Can you give me a different invoice?
Really?
And a lot of businesses will.
Huh.
You don't want like 1-800 liquidator in their phone number.
Yeah.
Right? And you could ask liquidators, you can ask distributors, say, hey, listen, we need a different invoice here because Amazon's not going to take this if we have a problem. And they know this, and they'll work with you. Like I taught a course in Brooklyn, New York a few weeks ago to distributors. They, look, this is how you need to redo your invoices if you want to keep selling to Amazon sellers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very specific, and it changes a lot. One of the benefits we have is that we get to cross-examine Amazon's witnesses, and we learn a lot.
Yeah, this is what makes him really good, because he's actually sat down in arbitration and interviewed people who work at Amazon. Is that correct?
Yeah. About once a month, twice a month, we'll have an arbitration that goes to a hearing.
Yeah.
They're good people, they're smart people, they really try and protect the consumer, and we pick their brains as much as we can.
Yeah, that's what makes him really good. That's the thing. So a couple questions that I specifically get a lot on this channel. First off, is getting suspended for adding a product to your inventory that you never sold at all. Maybe you planned on drop shipping, or maybe you were just curious.
Don't do it. Right now, it may be good a month from now, maybe good 60 days from now. Over the last few weeks, we've seen a ton of suspensions for people who never bought the product, who just jumped on a listing.
Yeah.
It's just not worth the risk.
Yep.
So if the product is good enough for you to invest in it, and then get on the listing. But for the time being, I would say avoid jumping on listings if you don't actually have the product, because that means you don't have invoices for purchasing the product.
Yeah.
So stay away from that for now. It may shift. Amazon's like an ever-changing marketplace. Stop doing that. It's not a good idea right now.
Yep. Okay. So what happens when you get that kind of suspension? What do you do?
Well, Amazon gives it to you like an inauthentic, but you can't provide invoices.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing is, depending on the seller, reviewing the account, what they're doing well, focusing on that, and the plan of action is going to be that in the future we're not going to go on listings that we don't actually have the product.
Really?
And you could describe how you had access to the product so you would be able to fill those orders, and that's how we're writing those plans of action.
Really? Okay. So stating, okay, that's...
But you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, no.
Don't admit we did anything wrong.
You did it.
You didn't do anything wrong. You had access to those products.
Yeah.
At a way that you can deliver them in an unaltered state. But in the future, you're going to go on to something else or focus on the business that's already doing well.
Got it. Okay. So great advice. And this is something I've made mistakes with. I never got suspended, but I mean, it sounds like it can be... I mean, I added some Barbie stuff, and like I didn't have the product until like 2 days later when I bought it. So
right, Barbie, Mattel, and also we don't like Barbie in particular.
Yeah.
Mattel is a great company to deal with if you have a problem.
Yeah.
The lawyer is just a great guy.
Really?
They're not out to hurt sellers. They want to protect their products, but they're not the type of company like Apple who will just cut your legs off needlessly. It's a good company. If you get the products, then list. If you don't have them, don't.
Got it. So one thing that we were talking about before we started is that I currently have my bank account as my private bank account. I need to change it to my actual business bank account so I can keep all this stuff straight. CJ told me not to do it. So we're going to talk about this right here because, in case you don't know, a lot of sellers get suspended when they change their bank account.
All right. There's an old Cajun saying.
Okay.
And it goes something like this, like it's easier to ride the horse in the direction that it's going.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amazon, if you make any changes for some reason, it often triggers a suspension. Now, I only see the bad news. So there could be people, 1,000 changes of bank accounts a day, and 2 get suspended, and those are the ones that call me, so that's how my perspective is skewed. But if you don't have to change it, don't change it. You should be able to get all the protections of having a corporation without changing your bank account with Amazon. You should be able to get all the tax benefits of a corporation without changing your account.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I also have all that stuff. I don't have my business info in there. It's all my personal stuff, even though I have an LLC now.
If you're already doing business and you're making money, I would suggest you don't change it.
Really?
There's nothing violating the terms of service or your business solutions agreement with Amazon that prohibits you from changing it. But we've just seen too many suspensions. Even though we get them back on, just from the change. So if you're going to do it, maybe do it in your slow season. But we recommend you don't change anything unless it's absolutely 120% necessary.
Got it.
And changing the Amazon account from being in your name to your business's name, when you're not going to gain anything more from that, I wouldn't do it.
So you're saying, like, you know, with an LLC, if I got sued for something, I'd still be okay, even though it's not in...
You could do it from the back end. The LLC could purchase, without Amazon knowing it, all the interest and liabilities in the account. Now, if someone gets hurt, are they going to sue you and the business? They probably will, but you should be able to defend that by saying, no, all liabilities belong to the company. I'm no longer personally involved. The company is, and the company is you anyway. Also, since you bring up liability, insurance. Sellers are required to have product liability insurance, even though Amazon's not enforcing it. And you really should have it because it provides you defense costs in case one of your products hurts somebody.
And I just did an interview with one of the best insurance agencies in the entire, in the space, okay? So I'm putting a link to that right here.
Ashlyn Haddon, she's my broker. I trust her. We refer clients to her. She is fantastic, and she's in this space, so she kind of knows the things that we face and that you guys face.
Yeah, she really focuses on Amazon only. But I'll let you can look at that or watch that interview, and you'll learn a lot. So we've talked about all of that. Any last tips for people? Actually, one thing. So what we just talked about, not having to change anything, you guys should really be getting your bank accounts. You're watching this right now. Go get your bank account set up for your business. Go get one specifically for business. Also, I mean, my LLC costs $200. Spend the $200.
And it's done with a phone call.
And done, yeah.
You can create an LLC, you can create a corporation and choose the sub-S selection with a phone call. I recommend a company called Blumberg.com. They're out of Albany, New York. And you do it literally on the phone. It's so easy to create the corporation. It's like $200, $210. You can create that. You get a tax ID number if you haven't started selling yet, and then create the business. Or if you do it first, just keep the bank account separate, but get a corporation. I guess my last tip would be a plug, okay?
Go for it.
A shameless plug, but not for me. We all not only work and earn a living and our families, from Amazon, but most of us buy from Amazon too. Okay? If you buy from Amazon, you can pick Amazon Smiles. It's a program where Amazon will donate a really small portion of the sales that you buy, or your purchases, to the charity. A really close friend of mine named Lou Campbell, him and his wife Cindy lost their son to brain cancer. He was not yet 5 years old when he passed away. It was like 2 years of awful suffering, and they turned this awful tragedy into triumph by creating a charity called the Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation. They're on Amazon Smiles. Pick that charity. You wouldn't believe how little the government goes to fund research into children's issues, to pediatric cancers.
Really?
And that's all they focus on. So Ty Lewis Campbell, use Amazon Smiles, pick the Ty Lewis Campbell Foundation.
And if you guys just type in Amazon Smile, and that's it, you'll find it in Google.
So that's what I'd like you guys to do. That's what I'd like to sign off.
And this guy, I'll do a plug for him because he helped me a lot when I got suspended. He helps people write plan of actions and works with intellectual property law. Again, I don't make anything if you guys go sign up and help him. So that's all I've got. I'll put a link to his website below. Amazon Sellers Lawyer. Sellers plural, lawyer singular.
I've only said that like 6,000 times.
Link below, that's all that matters. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you here, CJ. You've answered a lot of questions that I get very often. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right.
Perfect.